Guys, how did you enjoy that epic cinematic sequence filmed with the E-M1 Mark III? We went out yesterday with my friend Yummy, filming between 10 p.m. and 12 p.m. at night, and the light was not running out. It's insane at this time of the year here in Finland because the sun literally doesn't set, which means it's just golden hour all night long. Now the downside of it is that we pay for the price in the winter when it's dark all year round, but now while it's the summertime, I'm definitely enjoying it as a photographer and filmmaker. Now, speaking of the summer, if you notice that there's gonna be a little bit less content on the channel during the summer months, please forgive me, but the reasoning behind this is that I gave myself permission that this summer, whenever it's a nice sunny day, I give myself the permission to take the day off. And the thinking behind this is that most people take 3 to 4 weeks of holidays here in Finland, and I'm thinking there probably won't even be 3 to 4 weeks of nice sunny weather. So I'm gonna try to maximize the summer and enjoy as much as possible, which means there might be some less content. But please don't be worried about me. Everything is great. I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying the summer here in Finland, but it just means that there might be less content. We've been actually having probably one of the best summers ever here in Finland. Just the other day, I went and bought a $3 air mattress and went and floated in the lake, which is a rare luxury to experience because here in Finland, most of the time, the lakes don't warm enough to just chill and just swim in the water. You usually just jump in, jump out because you're already freezing to death. But this year, for some reason, something's happening here in Finland and it's been hot. And let's just say I've been loving it. Anyways, enough about the weather and how summer's here. Let's talk about the E-M1 Mark III and my experiences with it. When I first talk about switching camera systems from Canon to Olympus, I think one of the first things that I was worried about is just figuring out the new menu systems and buttons, because when you've been using a certain camera for 10 years, it's kind of like when you've been driving an automatic car and all of a sudden switching to manual. It's just having to figure out a new way of doing things, but once you figure it out, it's actually not that bad. And pretty much after one day of testing out the Olympus cameras, I've been able to figure out all the menu systems and the buttons, and it's actually been quite easy to use. Now, for image quality, when it comes to the 4K 24 frames per second, it looks pretty dang good. Like, just check this out. Let me go near a window and get some really nice light on my face. Gonna crank this shutter. Sorry guys, I don't have an ND filter right now. But look at the look of the footage on my face. It looks really dang sharp. And that's because when you're filming at 4K 24 frames per second, it's 237 megabits per second, which is really high data rate when you're filming footage. Then when I filmed with the 60 frames per second, the footage was a little bit muddier because the bitrate is not nearly as high when you're filming at 1080 at 60 frames per second. But one of the perks of the Olympus cameras was that because the stabilizers are so good, in post, I didn't need to add warp stabilizer. And when I was filming with the Canon EOS R, a lot of times in post, even though the footage looked good, I would have to stabilize it, which means that I would have to punch in and I would lose a lot of the quality when it comes to the footage. So the 1080 at 60 frames per second isn't maybe as sharp or as high quality I would like it to be, but because it's really stable, I don't need to add warp stabilizer, meaning I get the full 1080 amount when I'm filming at 1080 60 frames per second. Let me just set this up right. Much better. Now, when it came to color grading, whenever you try a new camera system, it always takes some tweaking to figure out how to color grade that footage the best possible way, and especially when it comes to color grading log footage. After some tweaking and playing around with the footage, this was what I was able to get going from the log profile to the graded version. Check it out. I think it turned out pretty good, but definitely I still need to tweak and figure out the best possible color grades when using Olympus cameras. I'm very curious to see will I actually like the flat picture profile better than Olympus's log profile, but we'll just have to wait and see after doing some testing. I'd as well love to hear from you guys who are Olympus cameras users. What have been your experiences with the flat picture profile versus their own log profile? When it came to stabilization, I was very impressed. And to be honest, I wasn't surprised because I know that's one thing that the Olympus cameras are best known for. When I was filming my friend Yummy, I was using a 17mm lens, which is essentially like a 35mm lens on a full frame camera, and as well as the 7 to 14mm lens, which I'm filming with right now. And using those lenses, I was able to get really cool looking push and pull focus shots, as well as just some nice following shots. And it looked like I was using a gimbal, but I wasn't. I was actually filming all that footage handheld because I much more prefer handheld shooting than using a gimbal. Call me old school, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's from my wedding videography days, but for some reason, I really love filming handheld, having the flexibility and just that run and gun experience. And lastly, my thoughts about the autofocus. This was probably the one thing that I was most concerned about when it came to switching over to Olympus cameras, because I was so used to Canon's autofocus and just how reliable and precise it was. And to be honest, using the Olympus cameras, the autofocus, especially when you're filming a person and a face, it was actually really reliable. They have the eye detection, so it's always following your eye, or face detection, so you're getting a really reliable autofocus. Where I did run into problems was when I was trying to film a certain object. For example, I was trying to film Yummy's shoes, and I would press the shoes and try to track it, but then it would start tracking somewhere else. So instead, I just popped it into manual focus, set the focus, and just followed. So those are some areas where I've noticed some struggles when it comes to autofocus. But most of the time when I'm needing autofocus, it's when I'm filming myself, and that's when I'm talking. So I don't know how much of a problem this is. As well, it was kind of refreshing to shoot with manual focus because that's what I used to shoot all the time when it came to my travel films and my weddings, shooting everything manual focus on the GH5. So I don't know, we'll see how I like it in the future, but right now, those are my thoughts when it comes to autofocus. Now, all these thoughts about the Olympus cameras, especially about the E-M1 Mark III, are based on only a few times of testing out and shooting the cameras. So in no way is this some sort of full review, my absolute final thoughts about the cameras, but these are the things I've just noticed in the beginning. So far, I've really actually had a lot of fun shooting with the cameras. I feel like just the small, compact size has made it more just enjoyable and fun to shoot with, which has also just motivated and inspired me to take my camera up more, shoot when I'm hanging out with my friends, which I would never have done before because I didn't want to carry a big backpack full of gear. Really interested to test out the Olympus cameras all summer long and see how I actually end up liking the cameras. Will I stick to Olympus or will I go back to an old camera system like Canon or even try a new camera system? Guys, I have no clue, but I just want to update with you just how I'm feeling, how I'm enjoying shooting with the camera, things that I'm struggling with, and hopefully you enjoyed the test footage. I thought it turned out pretty cool. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, comment below your thoughts about the footage, and as well, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because I'd love to have you a part of this community. Alright guys, that's it for this week's video. I hope you have a fantastic week.